8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to an exclusive next level webinar. Bye bye day job. Hello financial freedom. I'm your host, Adam Carswell, joined by my co-host, Fletcher Wheaton. And today we are entering the mind of Marco Pfeiffer and Josh Carlegis. Definitely a next level backstory here on this one today too, guys. Looking forward to it. But before the presentation though, and before we continue to break the ice here, I got to flip it over to the other talking heads we got here. We'll go Marco, Fletcher, and Josh just to kind of switch things up. But hey, let's just talk to the audience a little bit now real quick. How are you feeling today? What are you looking forward to? Where are you tuned in from, Marco? Let's hear
that. Thanks, Adam. And first and foremost, thanks for putting this all together. I mean, Adam Carswell, shout out to you, Fletcher Wheaton. You guys were pretty instrumental to put this all together. Becoming some webinar Jedis, the two of you. So anybody on this call ever considering doing a webinar, Adam Carswell, Fletcher Wheaton, those other guys you need to talk to. I'm actually tuning in from Huntsville, Alabama. That's where I live. That's where I invest. And besides other areas as well. And doing great today. Really looking forward to this webinar. Love to share my journey. Love to help others to get out of the corporate rat race, or at least build an additional revenue stream and either achieve financial freedom or some more financial flexibility along the way.
Love it. Fletcher, I know just you and I going on this webinar journey that we're just getting started on too. Coming into today, we were both kind of messaging like, I think we've had some really good ones. We're like, I think this might be the best one yet. Kind of what's going through your head coming into today?
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm really excited about this one because there's more than one way to get financially independent, and I really like the way that both Marco and Josh have achieved their levels of financial freedom. You don't always have to take down a 300 unit complex. They've been very creative. You can tell they just exude confidence. They really like what they're doing, and it's really fun to watch, and it's inspiring. So I'm really looking forward to the presentation.
Awesome. And then Josh, you're like the dark horse of this presentation, man. Josh Carlegis, just real quick, man, let us know. And we're going to get some context here for you guys too, a little bit more about Josh and Marco's story. But again, just for icebreakers, let us know how you feeling today, Josh.
Good, man. So it's a nice day outside. It's been much warmer. It got a little bit chilly last night, but the sun's out. I'm in Mobile, Alabama, which is the area that Marco and I are focusing pretty heavy on right now. So I moved down here a couple weeks ago to be closer to the action. I love it down here.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, here we go. Time to start digging in. Today's webinar is sponsored by Liberty Real Estate Fund, the world's first single tenant net lease security token. For more information on Liberty Fund, you can visit libertyfund.io. That's libertyfund.io. And we are also sponsored by Raise Masters, the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. Learn more and apply via the link in the chat, which I'm going to get to Aaron here in a second. And if you're with us on the replay, you can find that link in the show notes. We also just want to give a big thank you to our production team. And by that, I mean, again, everyone here, Aaron Eiler, who we've given a few shout outs to. Aaron does all the behind the scene works for us, or all the behind the scene works. Yeah, I can say that. That makes sense. To make sure that this works for us. Keep up the good work, Aaron. We really love having you here. So if you're with us live, one more time, hello, and thank you for investing your most valuable resource with us today. Let's get the chat box continued to warm up. I know we typed in, I saw some people, I think I saw Syracuse, which is awesome, and a few other places, which now I'm trying to think of, I can't remember because I'm not looking at it right now, but keep on punching in that chat box and go ahead and have some fun with it. Let's say, type in what your favorite number is in there too. Let's have some character going on here. If you're with us on Facebook, by the way, Aaron, I'm going to get you this too, a link so that way you can join us here live in the Zoom room instead of watching on Facebook if you so choose. You can go ahead and use the comments there as well. If you're joining us on the replay, Be sure to share and subscribe. We always appreciate that. And also check out the show notes for links connected to today's message. And lastly, if you're listening on the Dream Chasers platform, be sure to drop us a 5-star rating there and also follow the link to the video replay. Cool. So you guys, again, going to get a ton of value from today's presentation. Grab your notepads. If you can, exit out of any other distractions around you. It's really going to help you get the most possible out of this experience. And yeah, time for the backstory. So I actually I guess I'll lead with, how did I first meet Marco? Marco went through a program that I helped teach with Hunter Thompson over at Cashflow. Was the Cashflow Connections Mentorship Program. The company is ASIM Capital. And Marco is crazy. Actually, I think that was like a year ago when we had our first call. And it feels like we've known each other. Like we've known each other for like 5 years now, something like that. I just realized, by the way, is the speaker screen pinned on Josh right now? No, is that just me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Maybe it's just my computer. Just double checking. So anyways, yeah, Marco and I, we met a year ago. He moved forward with the Cashflow Connections Mentorship Program. And from our conversations, I love hearing what he got out of the course, because it was very unique to his story. A lot of people, I think, come in there maybe to learn, or they want to get the most out of education. And for me, Marco was like, dude, the biggest thing I got out of that program was mindset. And I was like, wow, cool. I think that's what happened to me too. And then also, I must give another plug here too. I mean, if it wasn't for that program, Fletcher, I would have never met Fletcher either. He also went through it. So there's another plug for you guys out there. If you want to get the next level of your real estate education, reach out to me, Marco, or Fletcher. Will point you in the right direction. So that's where the bridge began. Marco, I'd love for you to just give a real quick, background on your story, because that kind of ties into the value of today's message. And then also kind of segue into how you met Josh, because I didn't know Josh until I met you. So I think you could probably actually give a better intro to.
Y'all haven't invited me to your club. What's up with that?
All right. So So in the presentation webinar, I'm going to talk some more, but in general, I'm originally from Germany. Came to the US about 2002, and worked in a corporate career. Pretty advanced pretty fast, pretty quick within the career. I started as a financial analyst. About 8 years later, I became a CFO. And was a CFO for the most part of the last 10 years. Along the way, I discovered real estate and started investing in real estate, started investing in cash flowing rental properties, and build up cash flow, build up another source of income. And last year in September, I achieved the point where I realized that my income from real estate actually exceeded my income as a CFO. And I decided to quit the corporate world and enjoy some financial freedom, create a more purposeful driven life, a life that I liked, follow my passions, and still invest in real estate. Along the way, the investments, I actually met Josh through a Facebook group, or actually 2 different Facebook groups. There's a Facebook group for multifamily, multi-million-dollar Facebook and real estate investments, and there's another group from a guy from Texas where it's like small owner finance, $10,000, $20,000 deals. And I realized that Josh and I were the only ones that were in these both groups that were actually absolutely on the other side of the spectrum in real estate. And reached out to him. We started talking, and we realized we have a very similar mindset, very similar approach. And Josh is with the SEI group, so he has some other business partners. However, as it comes to multifamily and mobile, we kind of work together on that, usually do joint ventures. So we bought a multifamily property last year in April, and we're quite successful with that, turning that around. And along the way, we bought another multifamily, and we're under contract right now to close the 3rd multifamily in Mobile, and actually in talks right now on the 4th one as well. So that's how I met Josh, and how we became business partners when it comes to multifamily in Mobile, Alabama.
I love it. And actually, I'm going to flip it over here to Josh to go a little bit deeper, but I had to do this before I forget. Hey guys, check it out. We upgraded a little bit. We got the 360 live cam. All my production team, please remind me to click this button a few times as we're presenting. We're taking it to the next level. So thank you, Marco, for the context. And it's, I can't believe that you guys met on a Facebook group. I keep preaching to people, right? Like recently, how powerful Facebook groups are. That's it right there. So Josh, any follow-up before we really start going deep?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We did meet through a Facebook group, and in this journey, you meet a lot of people on these Facebook groups, and 99.9% of the time, it doesn't go much further than a couple of conversations or whatever. But Marco and I, he reached out. He actually saw a listing for an apartment building not far out of the area that I started in, Jacksonville, Alabama. And so he was coming in between Columbus, where he was living, going to Huntsville, where he lives now, and his wife lived. And so we just started talking. We met in the parking lot of a Mexican restaurant, went and drove it, went and had a couple beers, and that one didn't work out, but we stayed in touch, and a couple down the road did. So we've been doing that. We've been working together pretty close for a year. I talked to Marco every day, it seems like.
Yeah, sometimes twice or three times.
Sometimes multiple. So yeah, but I mean, it's been a really good connection, and we're really enjoying it.
Awesome. And I honestly, I love that you guys are both in Alabama. I think just being there physically is such a huge, value add to anyone who's tuned in right now or on the replay. Alabama is a hot market, especially in the specific cities that these guys are going to probably be talking about today. One more thing here before I forget, Fletcher. Any other segue comments before we dive in?
No, once again, I'm really excited about this one, and it's, we're already like 15 minutes in, so I want to make sure we have enough time for Q&A. So I think hand it up. Let's get this rolling.
Let's get it. All right. So let me just pull up one thing here. I almost forgot. Cool. Josh, Marco. This is all you. If you're with us live, be sure to, if you're on Facebook, you can put #nextlevel, #replay. I almost forgot, put that in there, just to let us know that you're tuned in and engaged. And yeah, the Q&A is going to be about 15 minutes after their presentation. So get those questions ready, put them in the Q&A box as we make our way through, and we'll address them in order. Here we go. Bye-bye day job. Hello, financial freedom, the real estate blueprint. Guys, give it up for Marco Pfeiffer and Josh Carlegis.
All right, thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. So yeah, goodbye day job, welcome financial freedom. So Josh and I will talk about the approach we chose. I mean, Josh was actually ahead of me. I mean, he back in 2015, he quit his job and became a full-time real estate investor. So he will elaborate how he got there. We both come from a different background in the corporate world. I chose the finance route. Financial analyst, controller, internal auditor, CFO. Josh, he was in the military, so thanks for his service. And he after that moved into industrial sales. So we have a very different background when it comes from a corporate perspective. But our approach to real estate is very similar. There are some differences, and we will both talk about the route that I chose and the route that he chose, and the similarities and the differences within that. And hopefully anybody on this call gets something out of this call and kind of get some ideas. Love to help. I mean, one of the reasons we're on this is I have been in the corporate rat race for a long time, and I know it can get frustrating at times, and there's times where you wish you can just quit. And hopefully this webinar helps you to get on the path to financial freedom. So just about myself, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Like I said, I'm originally from Germany. Was a financial analyst, then CFO. And last year, at the age of 45, I actually retired from the corporate world. I mean, as of right now, my real estate portfolio is about 25 single family homes. I own about 90 apartments. They're actually all in a joint venture with Josh. I also became a private lender, so I'm lending on real estate projects and also do owner finance. So I sell houses and create a mortgage and basically hold the mortgage on them. And I'll let Josh talk a little bit about him and what he does.
All right. Yeah. So after a stint in the Army, where I'm originally from Houston, I got stationed in Alabama. Got out in 2006 and was working in industrial sales for 12 years and started investing 2015. Wish I would have started sooner, of course, but I didn't have the education that's available and out there now. So, you know, if you're on this webinar and looking for this, you're way ahead of me. But yeah, so I did that. Our company got purchased by a big, large French company that went from a family, family environment, family business, small business, to very corporate, and just it didn't really go well. I didn't enjoy that, so I didn't get out with the intention of doing real estate full time. It was always a retirement plan or a side kind of a side hustle, but it provided that it provided the freedom to not have to go get a job, for a year, 2 years, or whatever, and so it's just kind of stuck. And so now we're cresting over 200 units under management, done and still doing, single family flips, single family buy and holds. Went through a tornado disaster, hit our town, and wiped out a couple of my properties, and I acquired some and restored those, and those are part of my portfolio still. Done commercial, retail, office, warehouse, specialty use type stuff. Completed a couple syndications. Limited partner in one as well, and our group just went over the 20 million under assets under management. So it's kind of a big step, and building on that every day.
I mean, you will, one of the things is, you see the pattern. Josh and I, we elected real estate as the vehicle to achieve financial freedom, to become financially independent. For us, there's real estate has some unique benefits that you don't see with other assets. With other investments. Probably the most common is stocks. So if you compare real estate to stocks, there's some fundamental differences, which why I like real estate better. I actually, back in 2016, I sold all my stocks. I own a few stocks still some investments, but the vast majority of my investments are in real estate, and I didn't regret it. The big advantage of real estate is, one of them is you're in control. With a stock, you buy a stock, you feel good about it, but if the CEO somehow cooks the books or whatsoever, something out of your control, that stock is gonna collapse. With real estate,
gets a hold of it.
I'm sorry?
Or if Reddit gets a hold of it.
Yeah, already gets hold of it, exactly. So with real estate, I'm kind of in control. I decide what to do. I decide how to fix the building, who to rent to. I have control over that. Obviously, cash flow is a big deal. That's one of the reasons why we in stocks, you get a dividend. You get, some stocks don't even pay a dividend. The few that pay, you get maybe 1 or 2% once a quarter. It's very hard to make a living out of that. In real estate, I get paid every month. I have cash coming in every month. I can use that cash either for my living expenses, or I can redeploy that cash and buy additional assets. Obviously, you have an appreciation effect, which you have in stocks as well. So real estate can go up, it can go down. In general, long trend over the last 100 years, it goes up. Those are one of the advantages about real estate as well as in stocks. But there's some more unique things, like, for instance, taxes. There with real estate, and I don't want to go in all the details here, so we don't have enough time here, but there's some fundamental tax benefits that come with investing in real estate. So that the tax code is actually designed to incentivize people. The government realized that they cannot build all the housing for the population. So they actually incentivize investors to build more housing, to create more housing. So you get a substantial tax benefits with investing in real estate. Depreciation. I mean, I cannot write off a stock, and if I buy a single family home, I can depreciate it over 27 years. So even though the value of the house goes up, I still can depreciate it and can reduce my tax liability with it. Amortization. That means I put a tenant in, the tenant covers usually my mortgage plus some additional cash flow. So as the mortgage pays down and amortizes over the years, somebody else actually amortizes it for me. Leverage with stocks. I mean, you can buy on margins, but it's very hard to borrow and then buy stocks. With real estate, if I buy $100,000 home, all I need is $25,000. So with $25,000, I can control a $100,000 asset. And the other piece is inflation. I mean, there's a lot of talk of inflation right now. We don't know if it's coming, when it's coming. I'm not too worried about inflation, because as inflation comes, as prices go up, I will increase my rent. So I have a hedge for inflation. As prices go up, I will be able to offset that with higher rents, with additional rent income. And the last piece, which sometimes gets forgotten, is the social impact that comes with real estate investing. Josh and I, we employ a lot of people. We have a lot of contractors, plumbers, AC technicians. There's a lot of, the way we get the money in, usually we like to deploy it and reinvest it. So we constantly have to pay somebody and support somebody. I'm sure there's some guys bringing their kids through college through what Josh and I have paid to them, which are all well deserved. And you also have the social impact of creating living space. I mean, the way Josh and I go about it, we take properties that need a lot of work, they're neglected for years, bad condition, just dirty, not really taken care of, landlord's not taking care of it, and we renovate them. We make them nice. We make them nice, safe living spaces. And we were able to get a premium on our rents, but at the same time, is people appreciate. People want to live in our house. I mean, the apartment building we have in Mobile, we have a wait list, because it's not in the best area of Mobile, but our property is definitely the best or the nicest in that area. So there is a wait list. People want to live in our places, and even though our rent is a little bit higher than comparable assets, but they still want to live there. So there's a social impact that comes with real estate investing. It can be rewarding too, as you see things progress. So these are the reasons in a nutshell. Obviously, on every single topic, I can go on for hours, but this is not the place right now. Hopefully, in the Q&A, I can answer some questions, or we also give you guys our contact information. So if somebody is interested to learn more about any of these topics, feel free to reach out to us after the webinar.
Yeah, and with the social thing too, I mean, you go to these places that we've turned around, and you see kids playing in the parking lot and things like that, and it's there's more to it than just trying to make a dollar, for sure.
Absolutely. So what are the keys to achieving financial freedom? Or better question, what actually is financial freedom? There's all kind of definitions, and it's kind of up to yourself to decide when you consider yourself financial freedom, or when you consider to be it. I mean, the one I go by is when you don't have to work for money anymore, when money is working for you. That's my definition of financial freedom. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to show up at 8 o'clock somewhere. I have the money working for me, and I don't have to work for the money anymore. And Robert Kiyosaki, he said financial freedom is a mental, emotional, and educational process. So this is not a get rich quick scheme. So there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but the outcome means you're going to have financial, you're going to live your life on your own terms. The pieces that go into that's very important for, I think in general, is mindset, is the education, is to take action. It's actually I will talk a lot about, there's a lot of people just analyzing, thinking about it, maybe eventually, but taking action is the prerequisite to anything. Experience that comes with investing and taking action, and the biggest one for us obviously is cash flow, because that cash flow allows you to live, to be financially free, to live your life on your own terms. So as we drill down on these different keys, and also mindset, have a strong why. You know, my why is in 2016, I was unemployed for about 4 months. At the time we were selling a house, and we just bought a new house. The house we were selling fell through. So I was stuck with 2 mortgages, unemployed. It was in Houston, Texas at the time. The whole market collapsed with the oil and gas collapse in 2014, 2015. It was very hard to find a job. And I told myself, I will never, ever in my life be dependent on a W-2 income. So that's my why. That's my why. So I did everything I could. I spent those 4 months. I learned about real estate, anything I could. I went to different seminars, meetings, paid for different classes and whatsoever. So this was my why. And Josh, I mean, I think your why is pretty similar, as you were pretty fed up with your job at the time.
Yeah. And again, you know, it wasn't, I don't think I started real estate for that reason. I mean, I loved the company that I was working for, and I would still be there today. But, you know, it was, I think I realized the why after it happened, and I felt, you know, the sense of ease and that real estate gave me. You know, financial freedom to me, it's not how many dollar bills you have. Like you said, it's the fact that you don't need to work. And also, you know, you develop a skill that doesn't require you to work. You know, once you're financially free, you can go get a job at Lowe's, or you can go flip one house a year, you know, for spending money or whatever. You can just, you're not in a box. You have options to do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it.
I'm actually going to interject real quick and just say this too, because we were joking before the call. I was like, I love that Marco and Josh are dressed very casually for this presentation, because it shows the level of freedom that you can create for yourself and what they're talking about. And I was like, it's to the point where you only have to wear this if you feel like wearing the suit. And they're like, dang, Adam, why are you making us look bad? I'm like, no, exactly what I said. Like, you can wear this if you feel like it, if you want to. So just take note. The reason why these guys are dressed casual right now is because they have exited the matrix. Sorry,
that's
continue.
a good point. That's a good point, Adam. Absolutely. I enjoy wearing not have to wear a suit anymore or tie as I had to in the past. And part of the why is also, the next step is overcome limiting beliefs. You know, I mean, Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I came from Germany in 2002. I barely spoke English when I came. I didn't know anything about real estate. I mean, I was 16 the first time my parents bought a house. I lived in an apartment. I didn't know anything about real estate in Germany. I didn't know anything about real estate in the US. I had $1,500. I had a job lined up and $1,500, you know, but I didn't let that hold me back. You know, I invested the time, I worked hard, but there's really, if you put your mind to it, there's absolutely nothing that can stop you. I mean, it's
that,
yeah.
Marco, to kind of hit that point again, you know, limiting beliefs are what kept me from starting investing in real estate in 2004, 5, 6 when I was interested in it, because I didn't think I could have the money or whatever. There's always ways. The ways that you got out of the corporate world, the way that I did, the way that we've grown in this business are completely different. And that's only 2 ways, you know, on top of the many others. So there's always a way around it. Now with the availability of information through these kind of things and the internet, I mean, it's out there. You can get through that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, it's Josh and I, we show our ways on how we became financial freedom, but each one of us knows at least 20, 30 other guys who chose a total different route and in real estate and also became financial free. So there's really money or time or whatsoever, any limiting belief you have, it's just in your mind, it's just in your head. There's absolutely nothing that can stop you if you put your mind to it. Don't let fear control your actions. I mean, don't worry about what could be eventually, what could be wrong. You're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen, you know. But that's the experience you're gonna get out of it. I mean, it's also important to have focus. You know, I mean, if you want to become financial freedom, I recommend to focus on one thing. Focus on, if it's real estate, within real estate, there's hundreds of different options on becoming a successful real estate investor. But if you do like an Amazon store and I don't know, Instagram postings, a YouTube channel, and whatsoever, it takes away from your focus. So stay. I mean, all I can say, if you chose real estate, stay on real estate. Within real estate, there's so many different options, and stay positive. You know, don't let naysayers, don't let negative things impact you. I don't own a TV since 2016. I don't even watch TV anymore. I just don't want negative things surrounding me and negative impact whatsoever. Staying positive is the biggest part of the mindset the entire time. Don't let anything discourage you. Stay positive. When it comes to the education part, I mean, as important as who do you listen to? You know, there's the one piece is when I talk about positive. I mean, do you listen to the guy who bought 2 rental properties and now he's fed up, or he thinks the real estate market is too hot, there's no deals anymore or whatsoever? So anybody who has anything limiting beliefs, do you listen to these people? You shouldn't. Don't listen to anybody who has any type of limiting beliefs. Yes, the real estate market is hot. Yes, it's harder to find deals, but deals are still out there, you know. And also you got to be careful, especially in real estate, there are a lot of gurus out there who tell you everything they figured out on how to do and what to do and whatsoever. And when you peel back the onion a little bit, those guys maybe have done 2 or 3 deals, and now coaching is their main source of income. So anybody whose main source of income is coaching, I would be cautious, you know. But with that, I mean, there's still great. Adam mentioned Hunter Thompson. Hunter Thompson has a great program when it comes to multifamily cash flow investing. There's a lot of good programs out there, but you just have to be careful. More than happy if you have any questions on that. More than happy to answer that. It's a time commitment. When I worked 50, 60 hours as a CFO, and then I worked 20, 30 hours on real estate. When other people watched football on the weekends, I went to seminars and then listened to how to invest in multifamily. You know, it's a time commitment. You also got to forget some of the common sense financial advice. You know, like for instance, let's pay off your mortgage as quick as possible. You know, because then you don't have to worry about that payment anymore and all that. But I don't. Again, this is too short for it, but it's in real estate, there's some unique fundamental concepts that you have to keep in mind. I personally don't pay any of my mortgage. If I can get a 30-year mortgage and can stretch out my payment as long as possible and generate more cash flow every month and use that cash flow to reinvest, that's substantially greater returns than paying off your mortgage on the house or other common sense concepts. I mean, fundamental issues is also what I said earlier, the amortization, paying off inflation. You know, you have to understand that actually inflation in real estate can help you. You know, as inflation goes up and you have a fixed rate of interest of 4%, that stays the same, even though inflation might be 5 or 6% at one point. So education is a very important part. I still learn. I mean, Josh still learns. I mean, we're still educating ourselves. I mean, we spend a lot of time getting to where we are today, but it's a never-ending process. But you have to be willing to invest the time and be committed to be successful in real estate. Taking action, and that's I will never forget. I was in 2017. I was at a seminar in Phoenix, Arizona, and I talked to one of the guys there. And he was sitting next to me. He was actually from Birmingham. That's how we started, from Alabama. That's how we started talking. And he went to seminars for like 6, 7 years. You know, he started going to seminars in 2010. And I asked him how many rent properties he had. He had none. you know. So it was never the right time, was always something wrong, didn't find a good deal whatsoever. So it's what I call the analysis to paralysis trap. There's a time you have to educate yourself, you have to gain the confidence, but when you get there, it will never be perfect, but you have to overcome that analysis paralysis. You have to take action. And by taking actions, you might make some bad decisions, but making these bad decisions actually helps you. You get the experience to make good decisions. If I hadn't made some of the mistakes I've done before, I wouldn't be as successful as I am today, you know. And it creates confidence. You know, when Josh and I, when we look at the multifamily, we feel pretty confident with limited amount of due diligence to, no, I shouldn't say limited amount, but we feel pretty confident we can assess how good it is. I invest a lot in Fort Myers, Florida. I have bought houses that I've never seen before. I bought houses that I hadn't seen 4 weeks after they were done. They were fully renovated. But I know what I was buying. I trusted the people that looked at the house for me, and I trusted my contractors. So that confidence comes from taking action. And I'm assuming there's a lot of people here on the call that are currently working in a corporate job, you know. So the question is, so how do I get started? You know, how do you still work and start building a real estate operation? You know, I mean, it comes down to processes. What I said earlier, I buy houses 800 miles from where I live. But I have some pretty solid processes. I know how I renovate, what I want. My contractors know which paint color to choose, what type of tiles, whatsoever. And I automate as much as I can. You know, I haven't seen a rent check in my single family house. I haven't seen a rent check in probably 3 or 4 years, since all my tenants pay automatic over online, ACHs or whatsoever. You know, you have to be willing to delegate. You know, you cannot do everything yourself. I mean, I see people, they want to buy houses and they want to fix it, they want to paint it, they want to do this, they want to do that to save some money or to better understand it or to be in control. I mean, you have to let go. You have to be willing to delegate and trust others in order to build up. If you're still working and this is kind of your side gig and you want to build up while you're still working, that's part of it. And it's the preparation, you know, being ready for these things and the experience that comes with investing. You know, after you buy your first house, I mean, you make mistakes. There's a lot of things you learn. Your second house, your third house, you get to your fifth or sixth house, it becomes a pretty automated process. I mean, every house is unique. There are always unique challenges. Every multifamily unit is unique. There's unique challenges. But with the experience, you're ready to take on these tasks, and it every time you do it, you sweat less. You know, the first time you do it, you kind of like you're sweating, you're afraid what can go wrong and whatsoever. Today, I mean, Josh and I, we own a multifamily in the Mobile area. Where 2 weeks ago we had somebody backing into our in one of our buildings. Entire wall was down. The toilet was actually sitting in the kitchen. Yes, I mean, it's a big deal, but I mean, neither one of us kind of lost sleep over it. You know, we have our contractors. We're gonna get it fixed. We did insurance claim. There's nothing that really can get you, as long as you're prepared. If you're educated, you have the experience. There's really nothing that can get you off track. And the one piece, what I would advise, for me, the golden rule is a property has to cash flow from day one. When I say from day one, it's rented. I mean, we buy properties. I bought properties that need a lot of work, and yes, I didn't cash flow, but as soon as it was rented, I cash flowed from day one. When I say cash flow, I mean the rent minus the mortgage, minus taxes, minus insurance, and whatever's left there on cash, that's my monthly cash flow. Usually I strive to have between $300, $400, $500 in cash flow per property when it's a single family house. as you get more advanced, you also might invest for equity, for appreciation whatsoever. I mean, the apartment building Josh and I did in Mobile, I mean, for the first year, we didn't do any cash flow. I mean, then it was low occupancy, not many people living there, was not much cash in there. So it was an investment. However, the equity, the appreciation paid off. But in general, as you start, as you buy your first single family, as you buy your second, your third, look into markets that cash flow. You know, I mean, you most likely won't find a house that cash flows in any of the major cities like Denver, New York, San Francisco. I mean, you have to go into smaller markets, in particular, probably Southeast. Josh and I live in the Southeast. We love the Southeast. We invest in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, but also the Midwest has a lot of good opportunities. But you really have to select the market. If you don't live in that city or in that market, you have to also get the confidence to invest outside of where you live. I mean, that's one of the things you have to wrap your mind around too. Is you don't necessarily buy real estate where you live. I mean, you don't buy stocks in companies that where you work, or you buy stocks in companies that are next door. So you have that confidence too to buy those. So the same way you have to have confidence in real estate and also kind of prepare yourself to be in cash flowing markets, which are usually the smaller cities. I mean, I live in Huntsville. Josh is Mobile right now. Florida, I invest in Fort Myers, Florida. Probably in the bigger cities outside of Atlanta, you still can do a cash flow. So that's some of the things you have to learn. You have to understand. You have to understand the market. But cash flowing is really an extremely big deal. And as you build up the cash flow, you will achieve that point where the cash flow is going to replace your income, your salary, and you can live a financially free life. Just to give you guys an example of what I do as an example. So this is my most recent acquisition. This is a property I bought in early January 2021. Bought this off the MLS. Okay, I know everybody says, oh, there's no deals anymore. There's no way, blah, blah, blah. I found this one. It was sitting on the MLS for 2 months. It was in awful shape. No air condition, no flooring, big holes in the walls. It was awful. That's why nobody bought it, you know. Bought for $154,000. I renovated for about 27. Obviously, me knowing contractors, knowing what things cost, I probably got it cheaper than most other people would get. However, that's also part of the experience and part of building up your portfolio. You know, it got appraised for $240,000. So I basically created $60,000 in equity with that house. Within 2 months, I listed for rent in late February. I had 12 showings. 10 people wanted to rent it. I rented for $1,700. I refinanced it. So now the value is $240,000. I actually refinanced 75% of the value of $240,000. So the $180,000 invested, I got most of that money actually back. You know, so I'm actually have a few $1,000s right now into this property, and I cash flow $390 every month. So what's the return on investment on a property like this? Is actually almost infinite, because I'm in for probably, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 with closing costs. Now I generate about $4,800 a year with that property, you know, on next to nothing investment. And this is most of my property. That's a model that I follow. Josh follows in CERN. It's what's called the BRRRR strategy. You buy, you rehab, you rent, and you repeat. And by that, you can recycle your cash and build up more investments. And if there's a Q&A later, we can talk more in some detail about that strategy. But that's what helped me to build up. I mean, in 2016, I had 2 properties, and 2021, I have over 25. So it was a pretty steep curve, but one of the reasons I could do it is what I did is I basically recycled my investment. Here's the property that Josh and I bought. This is the one we joint ventured on. It's a multifamily. So Josh and I were kind of a lot of people focus solely on multifamily. A lot of people focus solely on single family. Josh and I, our philosophy is that we understand both assets, single family and multifamily. And if there's a good opportunity, we invest in either or. So we bought this in April 2020 in Mobile, Alabama. We paid $815,000 for it. Obviously, it was financed 25% down. And the renovation, there was substantial renovation with it. We were able to finance that as well. The property wasn't that bad shape. It was the owner lived in California. He hadn't been to the apartments in years. The property management company didn't really care. Occupancy was 45%. So you have 40 units, and out of those 40 units, 21, 22 units were just vacant, no income. The ones that were occupied, some of them didn't pay rent. The average rent was about $485, and Josh and I, we went to town. We found a good property management company. We found some good contractors. We found some bad ones too along the way, but that's part of the business. And today in March, we're finishing the last 3 units by the end of the month. We're renting them now at $625. We actually have a wait list, so people are actually waiting for us to finish those last 3 to move in there. Like I said, we bought it $815. We probably put $290 into it in terms of renovation. However, that apartment, I say 1.8 to 2. I feel pretty good. Actually, it's more like $2 million, and we I have the sound in the back right now. Not sure where it comes from.
You're good. We can't hear anything.
Okay. So yeah, that's the valuation now, $2 million. So Josh, I know you want to talk some more about this property here.
Yeah, I mean, pretty well covered. This was kind of a textbook value add deal. You know, it was kind of undermanaged. The owner didn't pay attention to it. You know, we saw there was value in there. It took, you know, it's taken a significant amount of time and money and running around, but you know, to be able, and we funded some of this through the cash flow that we've made from the property. So, you know, when you're talking about making, you know, $1 million or so in a year, that's a pretty good hit. And this is another one. This was the one too, kind of get back to that social deal. You know, the people, there's good people in this area that want to live there and want to live in that area, but the safe, clean places are not plentiful. So, you know, you're doing a service to the community as well by cleaning these places up.
Absolutely. And I'm going to let Josh talk some more about his path. Like I said, it's a little bit different than what I did. I mean, my focus was on cash flow. Josh more on equity, but I'll let him elaborate more on his strategy.
And also we are, as far as time for the recording, we're starting to wind down. So I guess I just want to let you.
I'll run through quick, Adam. I like questions.
Thanks,
so I'll blow through it. So like Marco said, I focused a lot on equity. The way I did that was essentially the same way on the apartments that you just saw in the house that Marco showed an example of. You know, try and find something significantly undervalued that needs some money and time, and you know, you get paid on the backside for that. So the first things I did was find a banker, a good local banker that would work with me and fund me. A real estate agent that you know, create a relationship with them and ongoing, still work with her all the time to bring the deals off market. Insurance broker to keep you, one, insured, but two, not paying too much as well. Accountant to keep your books, which mine were. I did not do that at first, so don't do as I say, not as I do on that. And then, you know, a contractor and property manager. So somebody, you know, people who can do this work, which when I started, that was me. I learned how to do a lot, and property management, I learned very quick that I'm not good at. So I found a good one of those and passed that off very, very early in my career. I did a lot of it with a real estate line of credit, which is something that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people buy, refinance, take that cash out, do whatever with it, buy a bigger house or car or whatever. I left mine in the bank in a revolving line of credit where I could build equity in the property. I would assign the value to it, and then I operated that account essentially like a checkbook. So I was paying quote unquote cash for houses, and then when I would turn them around, I would get that value back out. My line of credit would go up, and so I would kind of retain that cash, and it continually grew because I continually bought assets. At any given time, I could have wiped that out and bought a boat or a nicer house or a nicer truck or whatever. But you know, that's not the end game. That's what helped me get to where I was free and not over leveraged. And this, again, this kind of strategy, I'm happy to talk, you know, with people about. So since we're running low, we'll kind of go on, but we can answer specific questions on that. This is just one example of one realtor. Got a call, a tired landlord, had a tenant move out, a little bit of disrepair. So we bought the house. And now this was back in 2015, 16. It's hard to find these kind of deals these days, but bought it for $45,000. It looked a lot worse than it was. So we were able to put $10,000 into it and fix it up where it was, again, to our standard of safe, clean living. Got a $100,000 appraisal for it. So the credit line came back. We got $80,000 basically in a checkbook. So, you know, between the 55 that I had in it and the 80 that came on that, I had $25,000 that I could go buy the next house with, right? That check with. And, you know, net worth went up 45,000, all in a matter of, you know, a month. So that's kind of just that's back on the BRRRR strategy, how I started and how I built equity. And then at the end, when I've a couple of years ago, when I started the new company and kind of idled that one, you know, had built a 7-figure equity value in that company by just doing that on repeat.
Yeah. So here's a picture of Josh and I on our last board meeting. This was right after we bought the multifamily unit in the last one, an 18 unit outside of Mobile. We went to a place called Floribama. It's a pretty famous bar on the Gulf shore there.
That's where I was when I found out when Marco called me and said somebody drove a car into our building too. So
yeah,
apparently I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah, so this was our last board meeting there. So it was really those when I was a CFO, board meetings were suit and tie. Now they're in flip-flops and in bars and having an adult beverage. Those are the benefits of being financially free. I put here our email addresses. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Josh is on LinkedIn as well. Josh is with the SEI group. It's seig.us is their website. You can learn more about them there. If you want to contact Josh directly, you can use his email or contact him on LinkedIn. The same for me. And more than happy to help people, to address people, and support you in becoming financially free.
Yeah,
awesome.
Not very available, so I enjoy helping people out because I got started later than I would have liked because I wasn't educated. So I'm happy to try and give people a push.
And the other thing is too, I mean, if you there's an active and a passive route in real estate. I mean, Josh does a lot of other things outside of Mobile, bigger projects than what we do in Mobile. If you ever look for a way to passively invest, Josh would be a guy to really talk to, finding opportunities. He has a lot of investors that invest with him in bigger projects, in bigger multifamily, 100, 200 unit multifamily. And if you feel like actively in real estate might not be right now, you like your job or you're tied to it, but you look at ways to get better returns, better than 0.5% your savings account, or you don't trust the stock market, feel free to reach out to Josh. I mean, he's working on some big projects.
Awesome. Great presentation, guys, from top to bottom. We went a little bit over, and for good reason. So thank you for sharing that information. Looking forward to going back through this one and getting it out to our community. Again, everyone who's here live, thank you. What we're going to do now, normally we go straight to Q&A here, but since we've kind of just had to shoot from the hip, we're going to go straight to our live breakout session with Josh and Marco. So you will get to ask those questions that were coming through now with them directly. Now that's the incentive. That's what you get for showing up here live. You can do that. We're going to be ending the recording here soon. Before we end the recording, I guess, so we'll get a quick comments out of Marco, Josh, Fletcher. I guess I'm looking at you guys on the screen. We'll go in that order. Oh, and by the way, could you stop sharing screen so we can see?
Yep.
Cool. But yeah, we'll go Marco, Josh, and then Fletcher, just closing remarks, and then we'll go straight to the breakout session. I guess we'll start. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So Marco, you're first.
I'm sorry, what is the...
Just a few parting words, closing remarks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity again, Adam, especially on your birthday. So everybody, please join me. Wish Adam happy birthday. It's a big one. It's his 30th. So appreciate you taking the time on your birthday and give us the opportunity to have that webinar and share some of the knowledge. Like Josh said earlier, I mean, we learned a lot of the things the hard way. I mean, like I said, I didn't know anything about real estate. I wish I'd known more back in 2009, 2010. A lot of people like, oh, real estate, I said earlier, is real estate too hot or this or that. So there's still opportunities out there, you know. I mean, can you scale up as we did in the last 5 years? Probably not necessarily for the next 5 years, but there's still some very good opportunities out there. And so don't let that discourage you, what you see in the news, like there's no houses or whatsoever. Stay positive, don't have any limiting beliefs, and there's lots of opportunities still out there.
Thank you. Josh.
Yeah, appreciate everybody attending and again, you know, getting the education. When I started, I didn't know what a podcast was. I didn't know anything. All I had from my banker was I went and told my banker. The first thing he said was that I was stupid to do it, and then he said, take gross annual rent times 6.5. That's your number. So I just went out and did that. You know, had I known and taken the time to educate and learn, you know, probably be a lot further ahead. So appreciate everybody coming out and learning and continuing to grow that way, and look forward to helping out, you know, as many people as we can.
Love it. Thank you, Josh. All right, Fletcher, my co-host, any closing remarks?
Guys, thank you so much. That was powerful, you know, and I really liked Josh too, how you talked about, sorry, I think my internet's kind of skipping out here, but Josh, I really liked how you talked about how you didn't go out and buy stuff like a vehicle or a boat. You put that back in, and I think that's a very powerful thing in financial freedom, is kind of staying at where you are financially and really just building up the equity in the properties. And I think if you have that mindset, it can really help you out. But thank you so much for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Love it. All right, guys. I'm hearing some hopefully that's not my computer. All right, cool. So one more big thank you to our sponsors as well. Liberty Real Estate Fund, the world's first single tenant net lease security token. For more information on Liberty Fund, you can go to libertyfund.io. That's libertyfund.io. And we're also sponsored by Raise Masters, the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. You can learn more and apply via the link that Aaron is about to drop in the comments. And if you're with us on the replay, you can find that in the show notes. Before I forget, I made a little note here to make sure I did this because it's my new fancy trick. But I can't read my script now that I'm looking at you guys. But thank you for tuning in to next level webinars. Of course, our audience, thank you guys so much. You guys rock. Really appreciate it. My name is Adam Carswell. Co-host is Fletcher Wheaton. Hold on, where's my button here again? Switch it back. Cool. Remember, hey, I'm going back and forth. Maybe I got to figure out how I'm going to do this in the future. Marco, Pfeiffer, Josh, Carlegis, just want to thank you for them and their time one more time. Their contact information is going to be in the chat box and replay as well. And there we go. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.